We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm back. That still has a nice beat to it. Still seated twerking to bounce. New year, and that song still has a vibe in 2025. Also, it's time for a new intro. I am in with a podcast change. I added the F.A.A.F.O to it, but I'm back with the same formula that has allowed me to be successful in the past. I've set realistic intention. I plan on being present and following through, but I still intend to remain petty and hold grudges. Not all intentions need to be positive. Also, I will be unengaged and unbothered by people and things in my life that do not serve me. That means parasitic people, unsolicited judgments, biased newspapers, and mainstream banks. I will not apologize for maintaining my mental peace. Happy and unbothered and at peace because I'm at unbothered. All day, every day, being unbothered is my way. Join me.
To my homegirl Laquita J. Elmore, Najee. Lift every chair and swing till all them white folks scream. Thought y'all could run up on our black king. I'm glad the squad pulled up, dedicated to Nuck if you buck. May it resound loud as the rolling sea. Throw your hats high in the air until Unc comes with the chair. Swim the seas until our cousins come and they rescue me. Let this be a lesson to y'all. Remember the Montgomery Brawl, where white folks fucked around and they found out.
I literally hate repeating myself and doing things twice. And me having to go over this again is just beyond. Anyways. Tariffs-sha-mar-riffs. I'm going to really need, now I'm madder because I already recorded this hours ago. But now I have to repeat it because there's something going on with my Mac and it's pissing me off. I'm going to need everybody just to stop playing in my face. I'm black, big back, and proud. I'm not a 60s era black person. I will cuss you the slap out. Your crooked weave leader got y'all twisted. You go F around and find out. Please don't mistake my stance for compliance or agreement. My resistance is not the same as yours. I'm still calling out hypocritical white-led liberal movements. Even with new Skechers, I got bad knees and feet, and I'm not walking on nobody's picket line or marching anywhere. Also, I will not be bullied into donating to your super PAC. Newsflash, you can threaten to silence Act Blue at the risk of blowing up every MAGA dominated PAC. So get out of my face with that mess and stop spamming me. You know, the retail boycott, why we collectively have power, even with wage discrepancies in 2025. We got $2 trillion buying power. The extended quarantine has taught me not only to be more risk adverse, if that's even possible, but it's just too peoply out there. I don't really want to go outside. And now you're giving me more incentive not to go into your stores or not even to the drive-up lane. Target, Walmart, both of y'all can kick rocks. We're living in a time where woke is on the same level as reverse racism. They're using DEI along that same grain. You're trying to bully companies into staying racist and legalizing microaggressions. You threatening to whitewash history. Openly fascism is acceptable. And in this upside down world, intelligent, ethical, and being respectful is a sign of weakness. You get derided and teased. The bullets have taken over, child. But just like Ralphie in the Christmas Carol, all of us black Ralphies, we fed up and we will beat your little hands down. You can F around and find out if you want to. Black folks in general are very resourceful. We are low-key hoarders, and our history is saved in our songs and in our food. We move stealthily and we play the long game before we strike. There are more of us that are petty than that are not. Retail blackouts, cool. Because in 2025, when everybody was calling to boycott X, Y, and Z, calling for weeks of not buying anything, I was okay with that because I took the time to break up with mainstream banks, Bank of America and Wells Fargo. I've been with them for over 30 years and they didn't care until I left. And they were like, well, what is going on? Why of it all? Because y'all didn't care. Nationwide, I had been with since 1993. Y'all still didn't care. 30 years, but I basically gave y'all the deuces. It also took time to cancel a subscription to the tune of a car note and some. I basically follow Warren Buffett's lead. I basically only have a checking account and a small savings account he called for incidentals. The majority of his billions lies in brokerage accounts or a brokerage account. Cool. I'm not saying I got billions, not saying I got millions, but I'm waiting to increase that need because don't shop. And I'm not shopping online. And I'm not paying for a bunch of subscriptions I don't even use. You can sit down with Jamal Bryant, the scandalous preacher from Atlanta, with the CEO of Target. I'm still not going to buy online from your store. I almost felt sorry for Viola Davis until I find out there's a online merchant in Australia that has that DVD, and that's how Australians, I believe, get around those movies that are not released or not available for streaming over here are available by DVD over there, and I can get it shipped over here. So imagine that. DVDs are coming back, y'all, if they ever left. I got Shop the Hood and Ace Hardware to take care of my other anti-Amazon needs. So 2009 is when I actually became a Prime member at the height of it. You would think, I don't think, Crooked Eye Bezos cares about people like me. But y'all blasting Gayle King into outer space is not really going to make me trust you even more. You're top of 2% and you supported Cricket Weave in his inauguration. So again, don't care. Money talks, BS walks. Basically, Costco has 433 billion reasons and to tell the US government and the 19 hood-wearing governors of the US to F all the way off. I like that kind of clout. Who are you going to be left at these jobs or in industries where people have no incentive to treat people correctly or they are willing to talk to you crazy? and your well-being does not matter. Lazy mugs or entitled plotters that will Luigi your ass. And for those of you that don't read, Luigi Mangiano just went to trial for him capping that CEO of a healthcare company. I'm just one person trying to be a better financial steward. So with that said, I'm one of billions of people, but if millions of people would actually follow suit and also become better financial stewards, then maybe the billionaires that run retail and that do run these companies would think better and stop playing in all of our face. If they would basically just become and respect us from a human level, they wouldn't weaponize those things that are ethical and that are right and that are proper. Why is it so hard for y'all just to be good human beings? Why? Do you always ask yourself, are you about that life? Yes. If you are going to live a life of intention, you set the intention. You actively seek joy. You refuse to lean into chaos and discourse because those things don't serve you. Your moves are measured. You don't make rash decisions, and therefore you don't move rashly, whether with your life or with finances. What'd you think? That you were not going to remain intentionally petty? Come on now, y'all. We always have to remain petty. That's the stuff of life. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. If you are petty, you don't have to get petty. Hallelujah, hallelujah. If you are petty, you don't have to get petty. Apologies to Henry Mancini, but a riff on the Pink Panther theme is in alignment with a podcast segment dedicated to a fictional PI and all about true crime, or fictional crime in this case. Don't you think? Although I have put my furtherance of my education on pause, I'm still fascinated by the scams of it all. And this week's in Scam Nation, I've decided to look into insider trading because I think we are in the era of mass insider trading the world has ever seen. What we're seeing, and exactly, I know most people don't read, but what is insider trading, you may ask? Insider trading uses secret non-public information about a company to buy or sell its stock. You get an unfair advantage over regular investors, and it's illegal because it undermines fairness and integrity in the stock market. But if you're not fair because you are a sociopath and you lack integrity, you and Marjorie Taylor Greene will take the opportunity as a U.S. state's representative and a MAGA sycophant to make suspect trades in or ill-timed trades in Apple, Nvidia, Palantir, Amazon, and Tesla. And that's what the US government alleges on April 9th. Because why wouldn't you do that? Use your money to unfair advantage for your own benefit, because you follow the most selfish cricket weave person on the planet. And then you look around and saying, that's absolutely ludicrous. I could do whatever I want to with $300,000. Number one, I'm asking myself, as a U.S. states or U.S. representative, your ass don't make $300,000. You probably make less than $100,000. And you were not a successful businesswoman. So where did you get $300K large? I'm just saying. And then you can follow the lead or whoever your what is it called? Your business advisor can follow your lead and make stock trades on your behalf. But if you get brought up on securities fraud on a state level, you do realize that presidential pardons only apply for crimes against the United States, not meaning only federal crimes. At any point in the federal judicial process, you can be pardoned, even before you get convicted. But if you get convicted on a state's level, there is no presidential pardon that's going to get rid of it. You go into jail. And am I sorry about that? No. And would I follow all of those douchebag man bun wearing mugs to the state penitentiary? Mm-mm. Or the state prison? Mm-mm. You're not even going to get time served probation or an ankle bracelet. You just going to jail. And probably a decade per $1 million that you make. Not only are you going to lose your original investment, any ill-gotten gains from that original investment is going to not only tack on more time that you're going to need to serve in person, you lose it all. It's called clawback. How do I know about that? It's called On American Greed. Probably one of the greatest programs on television. I hope it doesn't go off. It's on MSNBC. Basically, all media they're attempting to silence all media. Anybody that is considered naysayers and anyone that they consider that is like my grandmother said, putting their mouth on you or criticizing, they're trying to silence all critiques and criticisms. But you can't basically do that, because the more you basically try to silence and the more you try to divert, then you know they actually are wrong. You can tell a horrible liar because they try to over-explain what they're doing. And then they try to tell you and deflect and tell you about something else that we could be concerned about, which is not concerning. And they're trying to, again, divert the attention from their gross wrongdoing. So anytime Marjorie Taylor Greene goes off and tells everybody to go back to their country, the reporter was probably asking her about this nonsense and putting her on the hook for her not doing her job. So that's when she goes off the deep end. When somebody actually goes up, their response to a simple question is over and above. That usually means, number one, they're not a housewife, but number two, they basically are trying to cover up something. So Probably that she's probably trying to cover up, and she's overreacting because she knows the wrongdoing she did as far as security. And if she gets caught up, she will lose her job. She will serve jail time. And there will be no US Calvary that is going to basically bust her out, because they're not going to be able to. Because them's the laws that we actually have now. In an effort to be a better steward of my own money, or to keep my coins and to make something legally at the same time, through Chaikin Analytics, I volunteered to be on a call about one of their alleged research. They have a collaboration with other financial researchers. And one, I was already upset because I knew what was coming. It was 8 o'clock, which is my bedtime. And then 2, they were going to talk me to death until the final pitch was I wasn't going to get the stock information without having to pay them more money. After joining and paying so much money to get access just to Power Feed and Chaikin Analytics, every time they want to drop a new research report, the only people that are getting rich are people that are aligned with AI or have some type of inside track on what's going on in the federal government at all costs. Or they got in on some of these stocks when they were basically probably barely trading outside of penny stocks. But I digress. That is where I got inspired to figure out what was insider trading, because I am truly anti-Musk, anti-Amazon, anti-MAGA. And I would, even though I don't mind running their pockets by shorting their stocks, etc., I do have a problem with making money when they basically, when I see people piling into stocks and companies they support. You can't tell me that you going in and canceling contracts in NASA after you've made billions of dollars in your SpaceX program. There's no shenanigans in that. And you're also not going to support against open AI with whatever AI company you're trying to set them up to get first dibs on lucrative government contracts. You can't tell me that. Or you're getting illegal access to American personal information for your own good. But then the douches that are proselytizing your genius, and you're not a genius. You just a dude on the spectrum that basically is only out for yourself. You're top 2%er. You care nothing about America. Why? And what basically triggered that rant, this financial rant? Because you compared DOGE to the National Partnership for Reinventing Government, or NPR for short, of the Clinton administration. Number one, Donald Trump and Bill Clinton are not, and those administrations are not the same. Donald Trump is a sociopath. He's on some major get back stuff, and he's selfish, and he's only out for himself. The reason why you can be a billionaire and your company has gone into bankruptcy multiple times is because you get the Russian mob and the Arabs to basically bail you out, but you have no intent to basically support them, and you only want the illusion of being prosperous, but you have no idea how to do the work. There are distinct differences between the NPR and DOGE. It's all about intent, approach, and their actions. The intent of NPR during the Clinton administration was to make federal government work better, cost less, and get the results that Americans care about. Streamlining process, cutting red tape, and improving service delivery through innovation and employee empowerment. They did it by a multi-year methodical. They didn't go in there and basically blow it up with dynamite. The actions lasted between 93 and 98. It resulted, yes, there was a massive reduction in government workforce. About 250,000 jobs were cut. 800 agencies were consolidated, and they introduced performance measurements, satisfaction surveys, and expansion of the internet within the government. And it created $108 billion plus surplus through smaller bureaucracy, program changes, and streamlined contracting. And it ushered into what was widely known as probably one of the most economic heyday of its time. The flip side is DOGE. DOGE is not benefiting, doesn't appear to be benefiting not a damn person. Immediate and drastic, rapid workforce reductions, spending pauses, disruption of services, and there is a higher risk of interruptions. Nothing is measured, nothing is collaborative. All it is to keep people on 20 and reduce for what? Basically creating a government that is even more non-functional, and the services of the people that you're supposed to benefit are the ones that are going to be tasked with fixing this ish once you are gone, and are going to be most affected by it. We are going to be tasked with fixing it, but then we're not going to be left with the means to be able to fix it, because you're going to bankrupt everybody in America if this is allowed to continue. The only people that this could potentially benefit is those that get the government contracts. But how is the government going to be able to pay for these contracts when the tax base, the people that can pay taxes, that you basically are robbing our gold reserves, they're not going to be able to pay anything. We got a massive tax cut or tax credit with NPR. The only people that could pay for it, if they get their taxes reduced, which is the top 2%, when you decrease the government and you interrupt services, the middle class that basically supports everything, they're going to be on the hook for it, but they ain't going to have no money. So how can you justify this? You doing this top-down reduction, interruption of services, where it basically bankrupts everybody, or this is how you're going to justify bankrupting a government? And who's going to bail us out? There's going to be no bailout, because nobody's going to float us anything, because we don't pay our bills. You are turning this country into another bankrupt Trump corporation if this doesn't end. All we're seeing now as a result of the Department of Government Efficiency, you're decreasing work reductions, spending pauses, but you're also have massive disruption of services. It can't continue because there's no balance. You are allowing, and that's the thing that kills me. I knew, and everybody that didn't vote for that fool knows, that the way that you are a billionaire is factually because you don't pay your bills. And you basically are trying to run the country exactly like, even against all of your lies, because if your mouth is moving, you lying. But if you want to run this country like you ran your now bankrupt businesses, and the only reason why you holding on so tight, because you know as soon as your presidency wraps up, you going into the clink. You got 30, even though they did not, or they paused your penalty phase for your convictions, you still staring down the barrel of over the rest of your natural life being in the clink. Because again, state convictions, not federal. I say all of those things to say that, again, y'all need to stop playing in our face, and y'all better, when you pop off and try to compare one government shenanigans to NPR or any Democratic administrative gradual rollout policy that truly was efficient, you better recognize that somebody else is going to call you and call BS, because the math ain't mathing. What is going on now has nothing to do with what went on before. And if you had actually read, you basically, if you wanted to truly make a difference with a balanced budget and efficiencies, and really come with benefit more people than the top 2%, you basically could have truly referred to that. But you can't make this is the comparison that the douchebag with the man bun made, comparing DOGE to the NPR, is apples and oranges. And also the comparison don't make causation anyways. And you also want to pop off and you're trying to tell people that actually do read, and we know that that comparison is not valid. You basically, again, are playing in my face. And no, I'm not giving up no more cash just to make you rich, and also to set up myself when everybody, because of AI, are keeping an eye on everybody that's making these trades. Just because you put a former retired colonel on in his time in the Pentagon, does it mean that he has some insight or inside information that could actually make it legal for me to make a trade that they're going to come back and hit me up for on a state level, and I get charged, and I have to serve that time for securities fraud and insider trading? Not him, not man bun, none of y'all, me. I do want to make money, but I think there are other ways for me to make money in these times. I'm not with insider trading. I'm not with the clawback. I'm good making enough legally to pay my house note, make some changes to my backyard, control the algae that's now growing in my closed off pool, and keeping it pushing. How about that? For a messy bunch, the shady bunch, the shady bunch. I hope for checks is worth being part of the shady bunch. So hopefully starting in the upcoming week, I will be able to get my hands on Beyonce's mom, Tina Knowles' book, Matriarch. I'll probably listen to it because I have a feeling if it's on Audible, number one, I got to use up my credits. But number two, I think she's going to be reading it in her own voice. And I think, number one, the Sinner's breakdown on the read by Crystal and Kid Fury this past week, as well as her interview, was actually pretty riveting. although I'm still too scared to go and watch Sinners, I will probably buy tickets just to be supportive. Michael B. Jordan and the producer director of what's his name? Of Ryan Coogler or something like that. Ryan Coogler of Black Panther fame. That movie is now #1 and has been #1 for the last couple of weeks, grossing hundreds of millions of dollars worldwide. You talk about black magic and black power, I'm with it, but too scared to go to see it by myself. And that's just more hours I'm away from my dog, who decided that she was going to start limping today. I think something popped out or she got a sore leg. But she keeps changing legs. I think she's a hypochondriac, but I digress. But if you want to tune into last week's episode of The Read, you'll be greatly entertained by their take on both the movie and the book. But I'm going to read the book for myself, and I'll probably comment upon it in the upcoming weeks of the show. So, I also, in bad black news, Shannon Sharpe is on some Diddy-ish. This past week, it appears that his April has shaped up to be more dramatic than a fourth quarter comeback, and with just as many questionable calls, child. Looky here. He has been accused of rape, sexual misconduct, and deviancy by someone when she was 19 years old. You mean to tell me you basically grossly stalked this young woman at the gym, so you were creeping on her, and you basically wore her down until you got her to your crib and treated her crazy and horribly. But the jig was up. She owed you nothing. And who would keep that nonsense, who would keep that nonsense quiet in this Me Too era that we're in? Boy, bye. You mean to tell me you have a successful podcast thanks to Cat Williams, was going to sign a multi-million-dollar contract for said podcast, but you basically had to flex on a 19-year-old? That is some the dumbest crap I've ever heard. The multi-page complaint alleges some very sadistic stuff that, as I said, is on par with Diddy. No, it didn't last 20 years, but it was involving a 20-year-old teenager initially. Either way, there was no consent involved. There was secret recordings on both ends, but it was even more egregious, the allegations and the proof that are being alleged in the civil complaint. And it's only been 6 years, and this did happen in California. I'm not sure if this is outside of the outside of the time period that they can bring criminal charges, but there may be enough in this civil complaint, i.e. Cassie, to bring charges, because this young woman alleged that he did to her, and some of the things that he's trying to do now to make her look like some young escort, it just makes it even more egregious. I won't there have been some people, and that's what Demetri L. Lucas read the allegations word for word, page for page. It was just so traumatic that I don't want to relive what was talked about. And I think she did a very good job of breaking it down. So you can navigate to Ratchet and Respectful to get the play-by-play. I won't go into it here. All I got to do is say, you basically, Shannon Sharp, blew up your spot for some ass when you basically could have got somebody of age, paid her, got to sign the NDA, and basically kept it pushing. But no, you didn't. You basically treated this woman poorly and physically abused her, sexually abused her over a matter of years. Is you stupid or is you dumb? Which is it? Now that Atlanta Housewives have become must-watch TV again, I was going to hold the episode until it came on, but there's a good chance, since I've cut back my caffeine intake today, that I will not be awake to watch it all. And I would prefer to post this before, just in time for morning rush hour. My stats seem that most people get a kick out of listening to the podcast on their way to work. Better time on Mondays, or at least that's what the data shows on as far as Podbean. But anywho, Britt Eady is question mark, and I'm looking at her kind of sideways, because when you rewatch season 16, she seems to be, and my grandmother said, she seems to be putting on airs, y'all. She wanted to be a thing or beat up a moment with Kenya, and she got it. And Kenya unloaded on her both barrels, no holds bar. And then she keeps alleging that she had it out for her. And I think what she had truly was dust for this girl. Kenya Moore is the Mormon. She didn't care about this girl. And that, I think, ticked her off. So she kept trying. And then, was it fair that she pulled up those pictures that were in the public domain? No. But her allegations and her overreaction to it, and again, Britt be lying, like Mia be lying, from Potomac. Her license was not on the line due to those pictures being shown, because those pictures were from when she was in her early 20s. And not when she was a teenager or underage. Let's just start there. They were already publicly known when she actually got her license. So they would have done that research. And if it was secondary to some type of untoward action, they would have known that when they first hired her. She had not worked for anybody's insurance agency since 2023. Those pictures dropped in 2024. Those pictures redropped in 2024. So what is she talking about? If they are investigating fraud has nothing to do with you doing webcam or OnlyFans. Fraud actually has to do with you using somebody's insurance premiums for your own gain to support your own lifestyle. That's what fraud is. Or you basically are making up people and taking out insurance policies on people that don't exist. That's fraud. So unless though if we're tired of hearing about it. Number one, I'm tired of hearing about it personally. The ire or your direction is no longer on the show. You don't have to share screen time with her. She really, and if you look back at the episodes, she was not coming after you. Your perception was that because she wasn't coming after you, you kept trying to bait her. And she didn't take the bait, but when she finally did, she was going to blow you out of the water. So, and I've been saying this before, when Portia Williams literally dragged Kenya on the reunion stage, she got sent home early from the reunion and she became back as a friend of that next year. Kenya, as long as she don't do anything on social media or worse than what she did on her YouTube channel, Kenya may actually come back as a friend of next year if the money is right. But Britt Eady, you're going to have some other type of story because I'm not buying it. Personally, I'm not buying it. I'm over you talking about it and I'm over you overreacting of it. If you are being investigated for fraud, which is different from revenge porn, you need to tell us that. Because by the time you ended your licensing, you had already got Housewife. Why would you? Were you trying to expand your business or you were trying to go in as an insurance agent or somebody else just in case Housewife didn't work out for you? I'm not sure. But I have a suspicion if you have some suspicion of fraud, they're on the long game and it would not have mattered. And that probably stemmed from something prior to Housewives. And I don't think Kenya had anything to do with that. You need to be upfront and transparent because the internet gonna be interneting. You don't really think that nobody has looked up your status of your licenses to see if there are any open investigations. Girl, get it together. And also, Drew still be lying. Why is she so hell-bent on keeping her record sealed? Because I don't think it's just because she wants to protect her children. I think it's more than that. I think she wants to protect the facade or whatever image she has conjectured or she has her brand she's crafted. And she doesn't want anything to go on record that is untowards of that. But she's going to need to stop playing in our face. Just like the previous season 15 ended, where she wouldn't talk and they really wouldn't expand or give anybody a straight answer to the state of their marriage or details. Don't keep bringing that crap up. I basically mentioned on Portia website, what is the real reason that she aligned herself with Dennis, hookah man, hot dog man? He knows hookah, he knows hot dogs, he knows Hennessy. Hot producer is not a description you would put as far as Dennis McKinley. And because Portia really is not paying you any mind, where is the storyline? Again, if you're not going to give real true tea, we're tired of listening to that too. And if you really did give Brother Head, that's more interesting than you playing coy and touting him as some angel when he is none of those things. Hot dogs, hookah, Hennessy. That's what we know. And you're going to have to get your storyline together too, because it's getting old, Drew. We're tired of the lies, Drew. And you beating up and walking, storming out, that's not going to work either. That's getting really, really tired. And that's why I'm glad that it's already night, quarter till. I'm going to put the finishing touches on this and post this probably within the next few minutes. And I actually probably will just schedule it to be released tomorrow morning because, again, I have time, but, who knows? And I may do a second part or an addendum if something does pop off. But from what I've seen of the next episode or coming up has nothing to do or don't look as interesting. So I'll do another update same time next week on this week's episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta. And there's really nothing else going on in the Real Housewives of it all. The Valley is starting to really get annoying me. That one main guy from Vanderpump Rules, he's proven that either he needs to go and realistically participate in rehab, but them just talking about it is, again, getting on my nerves. And again, Kyle Richards, love you, babe, but you need to tell us something more realistic than the on-status of your separation from Maurizio. It's getting annoying. And has anybody talked to Garcelle or interviewed Garcelle why she stormed off of the reunion stage? Why she's not really coming back? I mean, come on. What is the real tea, girl, outside of what I could make up? So, and why nobody basically called Sutton out for her mom being out and out racist? I need some real tea. And I guess most people don't expect that from the shade of being in Hollywood and Beverly Hills, but I do. You can take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take hood music out the girl. But I'm going to end this with a word, just as I started this podcast. Do or do not do. There is no try. And that's a word from Yoda. I hope I have conveyed just how much fun I have had in creating this podcast. I've got my mojo back. Just set your intention or reset your intention. It could be daily if necessary. Mine is peace. No mental dumping over here. If I'm acting like I'm not listening, I'm probably not. I'm not your therapist. I'm not a therapist. Keep the crazy to yourself, child. You do you and leave me be. The sooner you figure that ish out, the happy you will be. So this is what I want to convey in this podcast. And that wraps another of F.A.A.F.O has a fro. Join me next time as I throw shade and point out the shade and simply have fun. Y'all have a great new year. What, y'all? What?